chiroto chinenge chiroto asi chiri kuiswa kuti munhu wese achione.
It's all about what moves you at the end of the day.
Hunhu ndicho chiya chinhu chinoumba anonzi munhu.
It is an intrinsic value that we share as human beings.
The National Gallery of Zimbabwe conceptualized the idea of the Venice Biennale in 2010. And in 2015, we had 3 artists who happened to be Chikonzero Chazunguza. Gareth Nyandoro and Masimba Wati.
Ine ndinonzi Chikonzero Chazunguza. Ndinoyera moyo, ndiri sinyo. Mjanja. Basa randinoita ine ni basa rekuumba mufananidzo.
My name is Masimba Wati. I'm a fine artist.
Ndinosanganisa mabatiro, maumbiro emufananidzo.
I use found objects.
Pane maumbiro emufananidzo ekuti unenge uchiita zvekutora mufananidzo nemidziyo inonzi makamera.
I use old shoes.
Kozoya kudzurura nemavara akasiyana siyana. Uchidzurura pangave pajira kana kuti pamapepa.
I use leather, bone, old furniture, you name it.
Kozoya kudhinda.
My name is KAPFUMO. I'm a small-time artist. I'm known for sculpture, stone sculpture mainly.
My name is Raphael Chikukwa. I'm the Chief Curator and Deputy Director of the National Gallery of Zimbabwe.
My name is Mrs. Doreen Sibanda, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Gallery of Zimbabwe.
My role here is to conceptualize and realize exhibitions.
Liaising between the gallery and the board, and the gallery and the ministry.
Locally and internationally.
Publicity, information, documentation, and then the audiences. Are we getting our message across through various platforms?
When the dollar started sliding, then the land reform came. And then the lean days. the analysis the artists came up with.
And more analytical, much more analytical as to why they are doing this and questioning and it's at a deeper level. Yeah, it's no longer just sort of how things look around where I live, but it's questioning a lot of things and deeper. Yeah, and I think that's good. That's very good.
And I think some of the results we got were very, very interesting.
I suppose it's something which has come about because of what everybody's been through.
Yeah, that's the period when I started using found objects and materials that were relevant to me, that were around me, that people in Zimbabwe and in my community could connect with.
Rurimi rwanenge nchishandisa arukasike rwadzikwa nevanhu vedu. Ndo pamusana maka pandazotanga kuita idzi dzinotora mufananidzo yana mbuya nehanda toti pamakore akuda kusvika kana manomwe apfuura. Saka ndiri kuedza kutsvaga mutauro unodairwa nevanhu vedu wekuti vakaona mufananidzo vanokurumidza vanzwisisa kuti zvikurehwa apa.
So I was struggling kuti how can I use a foreign language?
Asi ndadaro ndaona zvakare kuti pane zvinoyemurwa nevanhu vedu zviri kushayikwa mukuumba kwatinoita mufananidzo. Vanhu vedu vanoyemura chinhu chavanokwanisa kunge vachiwadzana nacho. Ndinogona kupinda pachiri here, ndinogona kuchishandisa here, ndinogona kuchitenderera here, chakandifananira nei, chinondifungisei, zvinhu zvakadaro izvo.
Things have shifted a lot. I mean, from the time of the early painters, sort of like, trying their hand at creating maybe what they could see, but also some other inner worlds, their own inner worlds. Also a phase in the sort of the 90s, 80s, 90s, when the African painters came to the fore for the first time as a group of people. And you found that there was a lot of emphasis on expressing township events and people and activities and sort of putting an insight into that, sort of social sort of statements about what life as they saw it. This group of artists now, it sort of endorsed a new direction.
So to me, I was struggling with the idea of using a culturally sublet material to speak about my own issues, like deep African issues that were visceral to me, deep-seated feelings.
Saka kana zvakadaro kana ndichiburitsa zviri mukati mangu zvinoreva izvo kuti zviri mukati mangu zvakaumbwa nei kana zvakaumbwa sei.
But it's using materials and a sort of a focus, which very ordinary, and probably people wouldn't think about in terms of making art or using that content for art. Not necessarily, because it didn't conform with some of the things which we've become known for, which is highly stylized, nice work.
So I went through a period of you can call it radical disengagement. That I stopped doing all the conventional thing, all the painting on canvas. I said I don't want to do it,
Ndatozoona kuti ndapedzisira ndasuduruka kune zvese zvandakadzidza maererano nekuumbwa kwemufananidzo. Ndasuduruka kune zvekudhinda maningi, kune zvekudzurura izvi neruvara, kune zvinenge zvekuveza.
So I'm thinking about themes that are relevant to my people.
Well, the role of an artist in a society, they play a very important role.
Communication, number one. I think that is my role. I have to communicate to my people.
Artists are the newsletters of the society.
I don't believe that art is neutral. And I don't believe that art is, we do art for art's sake.
The causative is the important issue. The artist must embrace the idea of conservation.
Artists are always there to provoke dialogue. Artists are there to provoke discussions among us communities.
He must wade into a situation, not aggressively, but actually manage to cause new thinking.
To give people a new reality, you know, to teach people how to think outside their confines or outside their geopolitical confines and aspire to be something more.
The artist is there to shift ways of thinking.
Tinofungisa vanhu isu sana nyanduro yemufananidzo tinofungisa vanhu mararamiro kuburikidza nemufananidzo.
When an artist can produce a milieu where various strata of society can actually mix, then they are achieving something.
Kuyeuchidza vanhu nezvetsika nemagariro kana nezvemagariro atiri kuita dzimwe nguva tisingafaniri kunge tichiita kuti kune mamwe magariro asiri atiri kuita.
The gold panel actually sees a well-educated person. They are roasting meat together, exchanging ideas, and actually learning, hey, the educated are not people to be feared or that they shun the uneducated.
They are there to change people's lives.
One of the things that I think art works for is it works as a compass to locate people. Geopolitical compass, you can call it that.
Kutsanangura chimiro chezvinhu.
About identity, about where we are.
Mathematics, astronomy, astrophysics, whatever, you name it.
Engineering, science, ideas of future developments can be found in art.
Art is just a reflection of life. That's how I look at it. It is just that. It's just that.
Reflect on the good, the bad of societies.
People are busy living their lives. They're busy living, they're busy putting food on the table. So they're not necessarily in a position where they can reflect about it. They are hustling and making life happen. And the artist, on the other hand, that is their job, to frame it, to interrogate it. To feel it, to present it. Their life and other people's lives.
What we see most of the time is not what we are saying. Some people tell our stories for us. We end up believing what people tell us about ourselves. My role is to create an image or a visual culture, visual standard, or a visual touchstone.
Zvakawanda zvinotengeseka asi hazviunze mamwe maonero matsva, saka zvinotengeseka zvichisvika pekuguma. Asi uyo anounza maonero matsva hazvirevi kuti ari kure kure. Pamwe pacho zvinenge zviri zvinhu zviri pedyo asi hapana akamboti asi akambozvitarisa nenzira iyo.
It's more to the ordinary, the mundane, the struggles, the things which build character and represent the character of the people and the country.
People gravitate towards what they see. If you show people every day a negative picture, chances are that they will tend to become that, because we are visual creatures. I'm referring to things that have been sort of like blocked from us, or that have been deliberately hidden, by means of political engineering through art. You'll be surprised the amount of ignorance that people around the world have about Africa. Misinformation.
We should be in a position to pronounce what is the essence of true art from Africa, rather than us being defined by people who are not from Africa.
The most important thing about the story is who is telling it. The content of the story is almost inconsequential, but the person who is telling it.
There's no need to apologize for anything. This is what it is. This is a valid story.
So I have a responsibility also to speak my own story.
At the moment, it looks like pliable artists from Africa, not African artists, but artists from Africa, are more acceptable than vocal artists who actually happen to be excellent. As far as art production and consumption is concerned, the average person cannot has not learned to understand and appreciate art.
And this is go back days to the colonial days where art was a preserve of the white people.
I mean, there are lots of constraints on the audiences, which started many decades ago. Because if people were not offered an experience in the arts as youngsters, it becomes very difficult to just latch on when you're a mature adult.
The generations between 50 and 90 something were born in slavery, and their mentality cannot afford them to appreciate the arts.
So the generation of my generation is to die first. Then the next generation which we are targeting on, which are the school children, they are going to be the big art appreciators and the big art buyers.
And worse still, some artists have done things which have caused the government to become bellicose towards the artists.
We've always looked at art as a foreign currency earner, which it is. But the problem with that is it becomes elite, which means we are only doing our work for an elite group of people, for foreigners or for people of a certain standard diplomatic cause, because they are the ones who can afford to buy in this economy, or tourists because they come with the money and they could buy.
Our major clientele has been foreign based, and I think it's about time we worked and built a local collector base.
To support the artists in a time of difficulty, so that people still feel inspired and still want to work and still see validity and still can make a living.
Kusatenga kunoita vanhu vedu mabasa edu nekusayemura kwavanoita haisi mhosva yavo. Pane kushaya kwekuti vanogona kukundikana, nyangwe chaanoda anogona kukundikana kuchitenga. Asi chepiri ndechekuti isusu vagadziriwo takazoramba tocherechedza kuti ndanani vari kutenga ndokubva taenda divi iroro zvakanyanya.
The danger of that is we leave out our own people. So we end up having that same old problem of illicit trafficking of cultural heritage.
Ehungu kuvhima. Munhu anotomba mufananidzo yanda kuraramisa mhuri. Zvakuri kuvhima zvauri zvakare unyanzvi. Pazoitika kuti vedu vanhu pane dzimwe nguva havakwanise kunge vachisveerera pakutenga mufananidzo iyi kuti nyanduru yakwanise kurarama.
Why? Because people my age, we grew up in 3 countries. I was born in southern Rhodesia. I experienced Rhodesia, Zimbabwe. Now I am in Zimbabwe. Yeah. Our education meant us to be fetchers of water and hewers of wood. So most people worked from Monday to Friday, even into Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, one group went to the pub, which was supplied by the system, and the other half went to church, which was supplied by the same system. Yeah. So besides appreciating church, appreciating the pub, we could not appreciate anything else.
It's a constant struggle to sort of be relevant to those audiences, and while also stretching the artists as well and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Our heritage keeps on going out of our country, to such an extent that the most important artworks about Africa, on Africa, by Africans, are in foreign museums.
Saka pane imwe nguva tiri kugadzira nhati tichiti inhaka asi iri kukasika yaita seyaenda.
Because when I make an artwork, You know what I'm putting in there? I am putting my mind, everything that I know in my mind, and everything that I don't even know that I know. All that information, all that meme, that cultural gene is there. Information it's loaded with information. You know, it's loaded with also spiritual information. So that is what I'm putting into art. And then some people just come and collect it. It becomes an object of inquiry. Those same people are studying that work. And by studying that work, they're beginning to know who we really are, how we think. And we become vulnerable. People can use that information for economic gain. You know, I'll ask you a question. Why are the biggest collectors of African art not in Africa, and why are these collectors the ones who have a colonial past or interest or economic interest in Africa? I mean, it's a question for you to think about.
Government doesn't seem to realize it. The arts are an important part of the economy of the developed countries.
Art ine ukoshwa wekuti kana kuti inofanira kuita ukoshwa wekuti kana imo munyika inofanira kuremekedzwa zvekuti hurumende inofanira kuti ichi hachisi kuzobuda muno ichi tiri kuchichengetedza inhaka.
We are talking here of paintings, let's say meter by meter, which are selling in figures above 100 million a piece. Now, Van Gogh's small things are selling also for the same astronomical figures, just the same as Henry Moore's commodities, which are being peddled across the world. You have more recent artists like Bansky, I was telling you about, Obey, and Julian Schnabel, whatever. They are part of the economy of the Western world. You have houses like Sotheby, auction houses, which are dedicated to selling, promoting, hyping, whatever, these products. I think Africa should take up the same attitude.
This is Pandugona Bargurasika governments in Africa. They don't give a hoot about African art, but they don't know what's in there.
Government has been a bit of a letdown. For example, one exhibition was kept under house arrest for more than 5 years in Bulawayo. It's next to impossible for politicians of this generation to appreciate art activity.
Their countries are poor. People are dying in their countries because of lack of sanitation and because of even lack of power in hospitals. But there are people who have got advanced ways of thinking like artists.
There is suspicion in free thought. Suspicion of free thought. Yeah. And criticism doesn't seem to be a welcome thing. We're not in the habit of accepting constructive criticism. Yeah.
The more you collect cultural objects from people, the more you know even things that people project out of their mind, out of their spirits, even prophetically project. So which means you own those things if you collect that art.
Isusu tikati chinchinozi art atisi kuchiisa mukati mekurarama kwevanhu nguva nenguva. Kunyanya yedu isusu. Zvinongoreva kuti tabvuma isusu kuti ngatitongwei nevamwe vanokwanisa kufunga kupfuura isusu.
There's also a political and a military advantage in obtaining cultural information, our people.
How many people take their children to the gallery, for example? None. How many people take their children to the cinema? None. Yeah. So the library, none. How many people read a book once a week? Probably 5% of the population. Now those cultures need to be changed.
But if somebody else is spending billions on something, then I mean it must come to your consciousness that there is something important about this thing.
Atipinde mkati miyamvula. Andina? No.
It's a number sheet.
Yeah, I've been there for just a few times.
Sometimes. Asade ritaenda kwatikana.
Ndoshaya mukana kwatikana satashika.
No. That's kind of idea.
Msati. Msati. Kumundoonesa state.
Basa rinondiwandira singaite.
Mana nguva yekuti uende ikoko kana maswagira dei tichita mari kuno kumazini ndomwe anongona zvine zvinoitika saka yamawani.
Gambling.
Ingava nhau dzekuti zvinofambiswa sei kana kuti dziri nhau dzemari tizonzwisa kuti kana mwasvika ikoko process yacho inomira sei.
Tingori mubasa. Tina dhera tinoita ofu.
Reason ndeyekuti kana usati wambopindawo maziri ndesati wambopindawo mupfungwa dzako kanawo ukangopindawo mupfungwa dzako unokwanisa kupinda.
Ndokuinda nei mwana wangu ndinosvika koko ndakabata chiende mari yekukwira ndinde kwendosha mari yekushanyira sekunanga vachirwara kana paguma
Because you don't know where it is.
zvarungu zvezvi atite izvozvo.
So that's what we're up against. It's not easy, and it's a challenge, and it's also it's a good challenge. It's a good challenge because if you're not relevant in where you're planted, then there's something wrong. So it's a good challenge. Sometimes when people do come in, we've invited them for a function, for example, they'll say, gosh, I pass this place every day and I've never ever thought to come in. And so I ask, why aren't you even curious? And they said, well, it looks like something kind of closed.
It's a two-way traffic because, for example, when musicians, Harare Mambos, Oliver Mtukudzi, Thomas Mapumo. Augustine Musarurwa composed Skokiana. Yeah. Then the drummer, was it Bambi? When they were performing in the early days, people were saying, these people are never do wells. Yeah? And they were looked down upon. But because themselves knew what they were doing, they loved what they were doing, And they're rational because they understood music. They could sing better than everybody in the country. Some of them could annotate the music. So when they were shunned by the public, they in turn shunned the public. You understand? That's the same with artists. When people are marginalized, they take on a shell like a tortoise. Oliver Mtukuz is a world-class performing artist. Thomas Mafumo is big news, despite exile. But in the beginning, they were looked down upon. Yeah. These people are now lionized today. You notice most artists in this country, they wear dreadlocks. Yeah, it's an attitude. Yeah. So you get an American band called Niggas with Attitude. Yes, we have fucking attitude. African art has been hit by provincialism, and the provincialism has been encouraged over the years, whereby even when we were taught in schools like Makerere and the like, art had to be African. But what is African art?
Wangu tinoita art iyo itiri mjumbe inonzi Africa, saka tinogona kunzi turikuita art mu Africa kana kuti turikuita African art. Inawo dzinongobva kwese, asi chatinoita isusu kusumudzira nawo dzedu isusu sevana vevhu rino.
Identities and labels are always very problematic, you know, but at the same time they can be functional. For example, the word African art or African artist has been used as a construct to relegate African art.
Kana tichizviti African tingozvitsanangura nenzira iruda kunzi tizvitsanangure nayo, asi kwete nzira yedu chaiyo. Isusu tiri vanhu. Zvinozikanwa kwese kuti tiri vanhu.
So it's a problematic term, you know. And also, even if you go down to the word Africa itself, how did it become, you know?
There are certain sensibilities, yes, which belong to Africa because of the world around us, yeah? But we should not be limited simply because of that. We should be allowed to explore every nook and cranny and come up with something that contributes to world culture as such. Yeah.
There's a lot of problems associated with labels.
African anopedzisira kuita kunge zvimatongerwo enyika.
But anyway, putting that aside, I identify myself as a Zimbabwean, you know, first as an African. When you travel outside the continent, you see all these boxes that people want you to fit into them, you know.
The overall theme of the Biennale was called All the World's Futures.
We've got something to offer. We have got something to offer. Being there underlines that for us, that we do have something very special to offer.
When we come to the Zimbabwean pavilion, our own theme was the pixels of Ubuntu.
Pixels in a camera, they are there, it's either to distort or to enhance your image. But also, as a person who is also trying to interrogate the issues of identity, that our identities are pixelating as much as we are now exposed to the whole global environment.
Loosely translated, in any Bantu language, Ubuntu means decency. Yeah, so that decency was probably what these guys were exploring.
Chinonzi hunhu chasiya dzimhuri dzedu kana kuti charamba chakabatanidza dzimhuri dzedu, mhuri dzedu chaidzo dzekuti pana baba naamai nekuberekwa nana mbuya. Taramba takati batanei zvakanyanya. Kupfuura toti ivo vanhu vakasvika vaine umwe hunhu hatina kunzwisisa.
The only problem that I have with it now is it has been commodified, objectified.
Okay, we've got the Ubuntu, but it can be fractured. It's not a clear picture. And depending on maybe where people go or how people look at it, it's something which is in a constant state also of flux and of movement and of fracturing.
Chinhu ichocho icho chinonzi hunhu, chinonzi Ubuntu. Ndinodaira chatisiya tiri vanhu vane simba rekugona kuwadzana nevamwe zvisina daka, zvisina kuparadza, tichitarisa nemamwe marudzi nezvaitika kumwe.
When you look globally, the world, of course, is getting more individualistic. I mean, we all look at the cell phones all the time, and everybody's now sort of going that way, technology. And in a sense, the humanness in the global world is taking a back seat compared to the sort of the autonomous and automation and technology.
How do you eat? How do you relate to people? How do you relate to your environment?
Ndigone kuziya makurukuriro kana kuwadzana kwandinoita nemumwe.
Through lifestyle, how you dress, how you deport yourself, your actions in public.
Kwandiri hunhu chikuru sei unotsanangurwa paya patinokwazisana tichiti mamuka sei, mumwe ndamuka hangu kana mamukawo, kureva kuti kumukawo kwake zvakanaka kune chekuita nekumuka kwangu ine zvakanaka. Makadii zvenyu, ndiripo zvangu kana makadiiwo. Kuti kana makadiiwo ndiri kurevera kuti kana zvisina kukumirirai zvakanaka imemi, neni hazvina kunyanyonimirirai zvakanaka.
Ubuntu is that special fabric, hunhu wedu, watinawo, that sometimes we lose because of some of the new things that we accept in our system, things that we didn't create, things that are created for us, and we take them without questioning. Tikabira songe garwe, ukabira, without questioning things.
Isusu hatisi vanhu atitore Ubuntu sechitendero chiya chekuti tinoenda chinoti naiwe wakazvarwa patsva here toda kukudza nezveunhu. Hatidaro. Asi dai taidaro, dai pasi rino raititeererawo tichivatsanangurira futi nezveunhu, vaizonyatsoona kuti ko inga umu munyika ndimo mune vanhu vane icho chiri kunzi unhu ichi chinotodiwawo pasi rose.
And that's one of the things that we still feel is very strong, and there's something to be, to be nurtured, not to be flippantly cast aside because it doesn't fit into maybe the modern world or the way the world is going.
If you're talking about the future has to carry Ubuntu-Hunhu.
Hunhu hunounza yanano yakakwana mukati mekurarama kwevanhu, zvekuti chinhu chisingafanirwi kukanganwika panotaurwa nezve ramangwana repasi rose.
These two, they go hand in hand. For us to be able to interrogate the future, we need to understand, we need to have Hunhu, Wedu Isu Sevan.
While we're dealing with art, while we're dealing with artists, and while we're dealing with art in Zim, and it's sort of like an emergence of artists that are prepared to, to stick with their work no matter what, because of all these other things that they believe in and that are important.
Chikonzero chazunguza SWEX, Board of Work, it's a reenactment of our historical past.
The spiritualism of Mbuya Nyanda, Kaguvi, and then trying to visualize them in a modern context.
Mabasa ndakaendesa iwo kumtambo uyu inini akanangana iyo nawe kuti kare kedu karimo mukati medu nasuno.
The historical past, which is not only limited to Zimbabwe, that even today, if we want to enhance our images, it's also for us to look into the past.
He puts Kaguvi in modern clothes. We have Kaguvis walking around the country, but because we have lost our beliefs, our basic, the chi, we have lost that. We can't think for straight about ourselves.
The Mbuyanandas and the whole incarceration of our first Chimurenga people.
Saka mfananidzo yavo yatinogara tichiona ngave magwaro ekudzidza mfananidzo yepai pavakange vasungwa. Hatina kuzomboona mumwe mfananidzo yavo kana kuti hatizivi mumwe mfananidzo yavo vakazvimiririra vari vanhu vakasimba vakadii. Saka ndinotora mfananidzo iyaya ndochiedza kuita kuti iratidze vanhu ava vachiita kunge vari kurarama panguva yanhasi.
Then behind you've got the Matutura image. You are looking at Matutura, the place we don't want to be, revisiting the history of the displacement of the people in Namibia. When Windhoek was built, they displaced a lot of people into the present Katutura.
Ndakashanda nemfananidzo yekare kare paya pandinoti pakasangana pakazotanga kuti tichitanga kuve nemubvunzo wekuti unhu nekuti kare ndo chete chinhu chataiziya, asi pakazouya vamwe vataiti havana hunhu hwakafanana nehwedu. Ndofunga ndo pakatanga kuzokweshana kuti hunhu chii.
when I looked at Masimba's urban totems, the urban totems that we've inherited, and forgetting about our own totems, they are contributing to this pixelating of Ubuntu-Hunhu.
So I think by looking at that, people can tell for themselves, or they can glean for themselves, you know, how pixelated it's becoming, or maybe just a little bit or whatever.
Masimba's work, it pointed out the influences of the internet, the World Wide Web, what influences it has done to us.
Not that I'm saying we mustn't embrace technology, because I do believe we have to. I think it was something useful in Venice, because a lot of people commented that the work that we had is very real. It's very on the earth, very down to earth.
And his choice of a colleague, Gareth, as the subject, the victim subject, was very interesting, because now Gareth is a very cosmopolitan person, and he is exposed to these things, Twitter, Facebook, name it. Yeah.
I think it just provided an alternative narrative to a lot of things that are happening, and a genuine one. So I think it was well received. Yeah.
If I had to look at my work at the Venice Biennale, was exploring the way that Hunhu, our Ubuntu-Hunhu, as African people, Zimbabwean people, has been compromised. You've got large portraits of a middle-aged African male wearing sunglasses, but on the sunglasses there are different labels or different icons, products, mainstream symbolism, social media that are there.
When we deal with the Western world, even the Occidental, there are superiority complexes at play and inferiority complexes at play.
Dambudziko ratinaro munyika pari zvino nderekuti zvigadzirwa zvedu zvatagara tinazvo tinozviti ndezvekumashure. Chese chazouya nhasi chauyawo chagadzirwa nepwere dzanhasi dzazvino chauya chichiita kutengeswa muchitoro icho taakuchiti ndo chinhu chinoita se chakakosha.
The Western world automatically thinks they are superior. The Eastern world thinks they are underplayed, downplayed by the Western system, but they can lord it over us. Yet, certain issues, fundamental issues, can be better elucidated if both sides of the world, all sides of the world, came together and openly asked each other, like, hey, what is happening?
Our perspective, the way we look at things is being shaped by products, mainstream symbolism, mainstream media, social media, you know. So Africa is no doubt the biggest market of some of these things.
Basa iri range riri rekucherechedza zvimwe zviitiko zvakaitika munyika. Toti pamakore akuda kusvika kana manomwe apfuura, vanhu pavaimira mitsara yekuti vanotenga chingwa, pavaimira mitsara yekuti vanotenga hupfu kana mafuta, zvinhu zvese zvazvo zvakumirirwa mutsara. Saka ndakapinda mukuongorora kuti ko iyo nhau yemutsara iyi yakabva nekupi, takagara here tichimira pamutsara isusu, ndepapi pataimira pamutsara mukurarama kwedu sevanhu, toti vana zvizvarwa zvemuno muZimbabwe. Saka ndaenda kumashure uko ndakaona kuti hapana chinhu chataimbomirira mutsara. Ndakaita tsvagurudzo yekumira mutsara yakasvika pakuti ko icho chinonzi hupfu ichi chii chatiri kuti hupfu. Hupfu hunobva pachibage. Vandaona kuti chibage ichi hachina makore anopfuura kuita 100 remakore chiri muno muZimbabwe.
Gastroscapes, stomachscapes. Yeah. We, having served under colonial regimes, came to live on a very simple diet. Sadza, nyama, muriwo. And the muriwo was not our natural muriwo. It was an important thing, rape. Yeah. So in every household today, normal household, you go, 90% of the people survive on sadza, nyama, nemuriu. But there are things out there. There's other ways of existing. This kind of life we're living is devoid of pleasure.
It's not only about commerce, it's about power. You know, it's about owning leverage, advantage. You know, because if I know exactly how you feel about things, if I know a pattern of how you think and how you might be thinking generations to come, my friend, I've got power over you. I can manipulate you. I can sell stuff to you.
Kufuchena pamwechete nechingwa ichi azvisi zvekudya zvedu chaizvo asi taakuzvitora sekunge kana tazvishaya tatove varombo, kana tatozvishaya taakutofunga kuti tabayiwa nenzara, asi kubayiwa nenzara kwedu kukuru kuri mupfungwa.
As much as we accept these things as social catalyst, there's a cost to it. So my perspective was just to explore how much is it costing us to swallow all these things. Because if you look at in my work, most of the labels, the symbols, the mainstream media symbolism that is on the sunglasses are not African products. They are products created for Africans. So the first problem is we do not control that. And the second problem is there is a commercial aspect to it that keeps on taking currency, taking money, taking value from this continent and putting it somewhere else.
Kuri kutsvaga zvakare kuti vanhu vachechuke kuziva kuti aiwa patiri kuti takatsika hapasiripo, pane pamwe patakagara takatsika panotiraramisa, panotipa ramangwana.
We really need to understand the levels where we embrace foreign things and discard things that belong to us.
There's a lot of information in our heritage. Indigenous knowledge systems. The organic movement now in the West. People have become organic. Where does that come from? It's us, man. This is what we've always been doing. And right now, because natural resources are depleting, so some experts and studies in the West are saying that people might end up eating insects for protein. But we've been doing that for how many millennia?
In the middle of the 20th century, astronomers looking in the sky discovered that a star called Sirius was not a star as such. It was a binary star. It's two stars which orbit each other. And most recently, it's been discovered one of the planets is binary with one of the moons. They circle each other. They play around each other. Now the Dogon knew for centuries. They knew that Sirius is a binary star. When the German astronomers discovered it, a missionary told them, like, the Dogon always knew, have known it for a long time. They say, it can't be. Do they have telescopes? No, they don't.
Talk about the round shape. Ambuya wangu vanovaka round kitchen yao. Air flows very well in a circular shape. And also psychologically, when you are in a place that is circular, there is a sense of continuity that's there. That's how we've been building for ages. But nobody speaks like that in terms of Africa owning those ideas.
Sometimes, although we have our own issues and our own problems on the continent, we sometimes feel that, maybe that's not the way to go. And sometimes take solace in what we have. You know, maybe it's just human. Take solace in what we have.
Knowledge, it comes at many levels. And humanity must put itself in a position where all forms of knowledge, whether it's from supposedly primitive people or the supposedly advanced people, the advanced people have blind spots which they are denying. And ourselves tend to think we're ignorant. We are not. We are wise to a lot of stuff.
The basic principle when we interact with different cultures is to share. But see, my problem with sharing now is we have an imbalance already.
with travel, a person's mind gets opened up.
What we are doing now, we are doing a post-mortem. We are exploring the whole idea of the Venice Biennale.
chaita kuti icho chinonzi ati cheduwo isusu chivandudzike kusvika pekuti kana chigaro chandakagara ichi chiri kutsanangura tsika nemagariro zvedu, kana chandinomwira chinotsanangura tsika nemagariro zvedu.
Art is very functional. We use it. I use it.
Akugumire pakuti mufananidzo inongoiswa pamadziro kana kuti inongomiswa mukati medumba vanhu voyemura kwete. Chinhu chingaiswe pamadziro, asi kuoneka kwacho kunounza njere dzinobatsira pangave pakugadzirwa kwehanzu, pakugadzirwa kwezvii zvatingashandise, pakugadzirwa kwedzimba chaidzo dzatinogara. Zvino zvese izvo zvinotorwa zviri kubandiko reart.
This is how we should start, by building small communities and pushing things.
Also, having structures in place that can capture, talent at an early stage, and show that it's valid and it can move up, it can move. It's not just sort of left to the whims or left only to that person's devices, but there's structures that can develop whatever talent is there in all different areas. So I think that's important, and I think that we need more of that.
We have not been given the platform. But one of the reasons we are not getting the platform is that amongst ourselves we are fragmented, because there is no extent artists association in the country.
The industries also should be an active player, and so should people who have got means and influence as well, as individuals and as corporates and so on.
The most important thing that we are learning is we have to take matters into our own hands.
Education-wise, we should endeavor to get the fine arts taught at school level, which is not happening today.
And I'm quite encouraged by the new emphasis in the curriculum, whereby for the first time there's certainly in the curriculum, in theory, there's much more recognition and much more importance being awarded to this area, the creative pursuits. So I think that's a good thing, and it'll make a big difference in 10 years' time. You'll see a big difference. Yeah. So I think that it's coming, but nowhere in the world are the arts left to government.
There's a need and a role for art educators, art institutions to educate the younger generation. And the role of the national institution like National Gallery has to focus on these young children, because they are the future.
There have been meetings convened around the Nziramasanga Commission report, whereby the artists have not been allowed to make inputs. Instead, policemen and different ex-policemen and different people, the writers, have got the voice. Curatorship is a gravy train. Yeah. It leads to a rarefied existence, where I think there is the danger of forgetting why are you there? Who are you? Why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah. There are plenty of artists looking for very few opportunities. The few curators can afford to play God. We don't want gods. or neo-gods. There should be more voices, more deep thinkers, philosophical thinkers, or dissenting voices who will tell them, look, this is not cricket. This is not the way the ball is going. The way the ball is going is scores against ourselves. Yeah.
Our institutions, they've obviously failed us.
We want more curators. We want more indigenous philosophers. I don't know, you have read Mudimbe, Ontonji. Yeah, those guys are talking at a totally different level.
I think there's definitely more roles that government could play in terms of maybe assisting more people to access the arts.
This is what I'm saying to African artists and African governments. Why not create an event or a forum to bring people here? We know that when people come, they come with money. When people come into a country, they come with ideas. You know, they come with concepts and they leave those concepts here. Why not create that same thing here? You know, so I think we have a big moral problem. Let's create centers in Africa, power centers, powerhouses, power institutions of art, which can draw people from different parts of the world to come to Africa.